Yeah. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of On Screen with East Lorraine. I'm your host, East Lorraine, and this podcast is dedicated to sharing the stories of dope-ass individuals that are just out here making an impact. Today, for my first episode kicking off season 2, I am talking to none other than Alexis Davis, North Carolina A&T State alumna, sports journalism MA candidate at Arizona State University, rising star media. She's been able to do so much only at the age of 22. She's been at notable sporting events, interviewing some of your favorite athletes. So, stick with me as we dive into this discussion about sports, race, sexism, and so many other things. I hope you enjoy, and thank you so much for listening. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to all my listeners. Today with me, I have the wonderful, talented, beautiful, just all of the above for real, Alexis Davis. How are you doing today, friend?
Doing good, friend. How are you?
All right. For those who may not know, me and Alexis go way back, like way back to, the A&T A Pride days, you know what I'm saying? But what she's doing now, currently a Suns and Mercury social media intern and also sports journalism and MA candidate. So where you're at right now in life, just how does it feel? How does it feel?
I think it feels good, especially with, being in grad school. When I was in high school, I never saw myself as someone that could get a master's degree, let alone get a master's degree and have it paid for. So I definitely do, appreciate where I'm at right now because I never saw myself getting my master's. And I felt like I've always, since I've seen, NBA teams and WNBA teams, I've always dreamed of like being in the arena, sitting courtside and stuff like that. So now, like, even better, I actually get to work there. So yeah, I think I'm just, the good definitely outweighs the bad for sure.
And plus, I know it's important because you're a Black woman within the sports industry, the sports entertainment industry. Why do you feel like it's important to have representation, people who look like us, covering these stories about these athletes?
Well, I think part of it just comes down to, I feel like we owe the athletes. When you look at the WNBA is more than 80% black women. So it's like, why not have Black women working in the front office? Why not have Black women creating the social media channels? And on top of that too, I think a lot of times people don't realize that social media isn't just social media. You are creating a brand image for someone that never gets to come to a Mercury game, a Wings game, a Mystics game. All they're going to see is how that team is portrayed on social media. And I feel like it's very important to have Black voices put into that branding so that, the teams and the Black women that are on the teams are represented in the best way. So I definitely think that, the teams in the front office should reflect each other. I don't think it needs to be all Black, of course. But I definitely think that since the majority of the athletes are Black, why not have those people that, represent them in rooms that they are not in? Why not have them be Black too?
I'm just so excited. Y'all know I'm just excited right now. Okay, so friend, we're gonna pivot a little bit. Tell me what's on your playlist right now. What's your top 3 songs? Like, what you be listening to when you wake up in the morning to cover all these amazing athletes? And if you need to look at your phone,
I feel like I'm still listening to SZA. I listen to Snooze a lot. Like sometimes it'll finish playing and I'll repeat the song. Definitely listen to SZA. I'm trying to think what else. I feel like, especially because I feel like a lot of times with me, I listen to the most music when I'm in the car. And I pretty much walk everywhere because I live downtown. My job is downtown and my school is downtown. So that's when I listen to the most music. So I'm trying to think when I'm getting ready to, like, most time I listen to music when I'm getting ready to go out. So I would say SZA. Why am I drawing a blank right now? Little Baby for always. Definitely Little Baby.
Yeah, Big Pop, yeah.
Yeah, all that. So yeah, Little Baby, SZA. And I would say Drake. Pretty, nothing too out the norm.
Talk a little bit about music. Let's jump into fashion because not gonna lie, you're one of my favorite fashionistas. Top 2, not 2 when it comes to putting the shit on. Like, let me tell you. So,
oh my goodness.
Where did your love and just passion for fashion begin?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, just to be completely transparent, I felt like growing up, I feel like a lot of young girls, well, some young girls, they kind of bump heads when they go to the mall with their mom. Like their mom is like, oh, these jean shorts are too short, or oh, why can't you? Like my mom's main thing was she hated short jean shorts and she hated high top sneakers. But I love short jean shorts and I love high top sneakers. And I think that's why I definitely think that's where my love for sneakers came from, is her like not getting me the sneakers, even though we could afford them. I'm definitely not gonna try to sit here and act like we got it out the mud, because we was definitely above the mud. But I just feel like just her always telling me no to the sneakers, even though I wanted them all the time. That kind of made me, want sneakers a lot. And when I could afford them, just buy whatever ones look cool, or that I like or whatever. But yeah, I think the fashion is just more so like, it's definitely self-expression. And I think it's just kind of like a way for me to be creative. I like trying new stuff. And I feel like too, especially when you are on air, you're going to these big sporting events with thousands of people, you want to show up as your best self. And I feel like when you like your outfit, that just, contributes to you feeling like your best self.
Now we're gonna play a little game real quick. So I'm gonna share my screen with you. And this is a short, brief list of different WNBA, NBA players, whether the pregame, during the draft, and some of their fits. So I just want to show you the fit first and just see if you can guess the person you mean.
So I'm only seeing the outfit, not their face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, okay.
So here we have our first outfit.
So yes, this is Zaya Cook. She was drafted to the LA Sparks yesterday. She's hot off Staley and them Gamecocks. Yeah, Zaya, she wanted to give y'all a little boob action. She said she's not 18 or so. Period, Zaza.
That's right, very cute. I love the diamonds in the front. It's really
I know, right? It's giving real prom realness, but make it draft.
You ain't gotta think too hard.
Is this LeBron?
Ooh, ding.
Yeah, period. 2003 draft. Yeah, all white, cocaine on them. Yeah. Oh, I don't like this fit, but I gotta stay focused. Is this Kyle Kuzma? Devin Booker? No, Devin wouldn't wear this. I don't know. Not Kyrie. Kyrie's not white, light skin like this. Hold on, give me 1 second. I don't know who it is.
Our wonderful friend Dylan Brooks.
I don't know why he would wear this. Like, I'm assuming this is a WNBA player. Is this Skylar? Is this Dejanay Carrington? Yeah, I don't know who this is. I seen her last week.
Oh wait, not place. I just seen her last week. Like it was nothing.
Oh my God,
like nothing. Now you talked a little bit about getting into why you got into fashion, like how that was like for you growing up. But being that you're a native of PG County, Maryland, can we just talk about your childhood, like overall, like what it's like to be from a little place such as PG County, and how do you feel like it kind of made you into who you are today?
Yeah, I feel like one of the good things about PG County, well, it's a couple of things. The first, on the surface, PG County is positioned in a place where DC is 30 minutes from you, Virginia's 30 minutes from you, and then you're living in Maryland. So I really like having those three places at my disposal. It really just, you're never bored. There's always something going on. You're exposed to so many different people as well. I would also say that Prince George's County, of course, it has its bad areas too, but it's one of the richest Black counties. So being able to, not even just rich, well, financially, yes, it's one of the most financially up and up areas for Black people. But I feel like it's rich in other ways, because when I was at school, my friends' parents were doctors and lawyers and had daycares, and they were teachers, and they taught dance, and they had homes that were beyond what you would ever see. So I feel like being able to be around those kind of people that have these things that they always tell us Black people can't have or shouldn't have, or only if you're on Housewives you can have, etc. I think that was really big for me. Being able to just see all these Black women and even Black dads, seeing my friends' dads pick them up from school. My dad was very prominent in my life, so just seeing Black dads pick up their kids from school. So it was just so weird. I feel like too, because of the area that I grew up in, it was so weird for me to see certain movies and certain TV shows and stuff like that of how they portray the Black experience, because my Black experience was not like that. You had dads, they weren't on childcare and neglecting their kids, saying that they're going to come pick up their kids, but now they're still out there at 6 o'clock, school ended at 3. Like, that didn't happen. So you had these Black dads picking up their kids, and then even with me playing sports, all the Black dads watching us, some of us carpooling to practice and stuff like that. So I think when I was younger, I was definitely confused by some of the media portrayal of Black dads, because that's not the Black dad representation that I had in my own father and my friends' dads. And yeah, I would just say being able to just be around people that just do the right thing. Of course, they're not perfect, but just seeing that, you know, Black people are capable of these things. They're capable of having families. They're capable of having careers, houses, cars. They're capable of being friends with each other. It's not, you know, housewives, you know, basketball wives, all that kind of stuff. Like, Black women can be friends. Black dads can go golfing with their kids. Like, that stuff actually exists. So I think, I also think that caused me to be a little bit optimistic when it comes to life, you know, and saying, you know, and being able to believe, like, yes, I can get a master's degree. Yes, I can go to college. Yes, I can do these things. Just by being around that, because I definitely have met some people who have just said, like, you know, you're so optimistic. Like, you know, even like when we were during COVID, oh, you're so optimistic. Why are you like that? Like, da da da. Of course, I didn't give them this whole spiel that I'm giving you, but it definitely made me, like, you know, just pay attention to certain things.
First of all, you better know about your city. Come on. I
Yeah.
know nothing about Green.
Yeah, period. But they be having it all tatted up and down, full sleeve of their city landmarks in the city skyline, but don't know nothing about nothing. But
being that you had like that type of support system and stuff like that, how did that play into when you decided to go to college?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, you know, my mom was very upfront with me. She was like, as long as it's on the East Coast, you can go. So now I don't know if I agree with giving a 17-year-old that much freedom, but I do think it allowed me not to be closed in. She went to the University of Maryland, so that was already a great example for me to see, you know, a Black woman that I live with go to college and finish college and have a degree from the University of Maryland, you know, which is a top 10 school. So I think that, you know, one, it showed me, okay, no, you won't just get into the school, you have the capability to graduate as well. So I definitely think, yeah, her telling me I can go anywhere on the East Coast when I was 17, I don't know if that was good or bad, because I mean, I thought I just wanted to do the most unique thing, and I ended up going to Florida A&M my freshman year. I definitely think that I grew a lot from that experience, or whatever. But yeah, just her. And then also she put me, so even though she didn't go to a HBCU, she definitely wanted me to know that HBCUs exist. So she put me on a tour, college tour. We went to all the schools, St. Augustine, Spelman, A&T, Florida A&M. We went to a whole bunch of schools, and literally it was just like a week-long road trip. We went to all the schools. After we finished going to all the schools, they took us to Universal Studios in Florida because FAMU was the last one. Then we drove all the way from Orlando back to Maryland, however freaking long that takes. So yes, I definitely appreciate it. When I was doing the tour, I was very upset because I didn't know anybody, so I feel like she was just shipping me off. But now that I look at it, it's like it was a way to knock out all those schools at one time, for a decent price. And yeah, it allowed me to have A&T in the back of my mind when I wanted to circle back and, you know, transfer somewhere else.
Okay. Now I read somewhere that when you was going to school, you had thoughts of being a plastic surgeon.
Yeah.
Where you come from? Please enlighten me.
So it's funny. So basically I wanted to be a plastic surgeon, but in high school I did really good in biology. So since I did good in regular biology, the year after that you take chemistry. And since I did good in biology, they put me in honors chemistry. I'm like, okay, whatever, high achiever, let's do this, whatever. So I'm in the class, I'm like, this shit's hard as fucking shit. Like, what the fuck? So I'm in there, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, can't do this. I used to fall asleep because I would be so frustrated. Like, I just hated that class. So I ended up getting a C minus, whatever, still passed, whatever. And it was just so I was struggling because I was doing so bad in chemistry, but at the same time I was taking chemistry, I was also taking anatomy and physiology, and I was acing all those. Like I had a 98, 97 in that class, but I just could not do the chemistry. And I knew that in college, I would have to do the pre-med route. I would have to take organic chemistry, macrochemistry. I would have to take all these chemistry classes. I can't even pass honors chemistry at the high school level. There's no way I'm gonna be able to pass 6 more chemistry classes or whatever. But it was kind of a mind fuck because I was doing so good in anatomy and physiology. But I think on a deeper level, I think because when I was in school, so not high school, I knew what I was doing. Like I was pretty confident. Like I was okay for high school, but like definitely in like, I would say like elementary school and like middle school, I was trying to figure out like, what do I like? What do I not like? You know, trying to get along with kids and stuff like that. And I definitely think that since when I was in elementary school and middle school, my weight went up and down, and I would see these TV shows where it would be like rapid makeover or 24-hour makeover, and these people would come in, they would give people new wardrobes, new hair and makeup, and they would give them like plastic surgery or whatever. And it would be like these 400-pound people, and then 3 days later, new wardrobe, new hair, new makeup, new body, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, so I feel like a part of it came from me just thinking that plastic surgery was cool. And then also like most of the places where plastic surgery are located are luxury places, Miami, Beverly Hills, etc. And of course, as a young girl, you want to live in these areas. So I think a part of it was me wanting to live in these areas that I would see on TV, Kardashians, etc. And another part of me was like, you know, almost jealous of these people that were able to undergo these changes like this, and all of a sudden they are these new people. But then as a 10, 11-year-old, it's not fun having to manage your portions, manage your calorie intake and stuff like that, while other kids are eating candy and Skittles and Starburst and all types of stuff like that. But you, because your weight is fluctuating so much, you can't indulge in those type of things. So I think all of that kind of played into me wanting to be a plastic surgeon, basically.
I guess I know you talked about like the people around you not having to watch what they intake as far as like, you know, meals and stuff like that, but also the images that are put out in media. Because if you see today, I saw this tweet, it's like young girls don't really have anything like, you know, a justice, like that kind of preteen thing. It's either like you're a baby and then you have Jada and Ari and stuff like that to look up to. So do you feel like the images that are portrayed in social media kind of influence body dysmorphia, like insecurities, anything that comes with like coming to yourself as like a Black woman? Do you feel like
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about, you know, limited to / justice not really being as popular as it used to be for that age group, like it was for us. Like I know when I got, you know, a jumpsuit, like a hoodie and pants from Justice, I felt like that girl. You know, even though we wore uniforms in my school on the days and we didn't have to wear uniforms, I couldn't wait to wear my you know, hoodie and pants from Justice, like whatever. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. I never even thought about that, but yeah, it's either like you are wearing kids clothes from Carter's, or you are 14 years old ordering clothes from these IG boutiques. So I definitely do agree with I'm not sure where you saw it, but whoever brought that up,
I'll put it up here sometime. But
yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Especially because like I always tell people, I'm so happy that I was not in middle school or high school when TikTok came out. Like imagine being in 9th grade and TikTok comes out. Like y'all walking by, you walk into class and somebody got their phone propped up in their locker and their friend is doing a TikTok dance, or like the TikTok pranks, like you in high school class or whatever, and somebody's recording a TikTok. They're recording a TikTok and they pranking the teacher and stuff like that. It's just like I would hate to be, you know, in high school or middle school.
During
when
the
TikTok came out.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I definitely do agree. Especially just looking at the girls that go to my high school now. Like, they are literally taking Lamborghinis, Bentley trucks to prom. And I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. But it's just like, if you're doing that when you're going to prom, what are you gonna do for your 30th birthday? Like what like it's like what like I don't know. I just think I definitely do. I also think that even when we were in high school, it was hard for us to be kids. You couldn't wait till you was 18, couldn't wait till you could drive, couldn't wait till your mom let you go to this party, couldn't wait till your mom allowed you to go to this side of North Carolina. She normally doesn't let you go out, stuff like that. So I already think it was hard enough to be a kid when we were kids and to truly be a kid in a kid space. But I think it's definitely 2 to 3 times more difficult now.
Now, when did plastic surgeon Alexis decide that she wanted to be journalism Alexis? Tell me about that moment.
So I don't really know exactly when it was. It's funny because in high school, so up until 9th grade, I was playing basketball. But then once I got to 9th grade, I realized that I was only playing basketball because it was fun and because it was a way for me to be around other kids. I wasn't playing because I wanted to go to the WNBA or I wanted to get some D1 college offer or whatever. But because of the high school that I went to was a college prep school, and majority of those girls go on to play at University of Maryland, South Carolina, like they go on and do that. And I'm like, I'm not trying to do that. I want to live my life. Like, y'all can't have back then. They wasn't having nails, hair. They wasn't getting their lashes done. I'm like, oh yeah, no, like I want to be a girl for real. Like I'm not doing this. So I was supposed to play basketball for my high school. I quit and tried out for cheerleading. So it was a total 180 or whatever. Tried out for cheerleading, made cheerleading, did that. I did the freshman, sophomore, and junior year. And I think cheerleading allowed me to still stay around basketball. And then once I went to FAMU, my major was public relations. It wasn't journalism, multimedia yet, but it was public relations. So I guess plastic surgeon Alexis didn't turn into public relations Alexis at the same time. Plastic surgeon Alexis stopped and I didn't know what I was going to do for a period of time. So once I couldn't pass that honors chemistry class, I knew I didn't want to do plastic surgery anymore. But it was still a while until I figured out what I wanted to actually do. My mom always told me I was a good writer and stuff like that, but I knew I didn't want to major in like English or literature or anything like that. So she suggested public relations. So since I didn't have a better idea, I was like, okay, let's do public relations. But yeah, so that's how it went from. So it was basically plastic surgeon, some dead space, and then I decided to do plastic surgery. I mean, public relations.
During your time again at FAMU, from my understanding that you overcome some obstacles involving sexual assault. I'm going to put a trigger warning on the screen for the survivors of those that have went through that. To your comfortability, please share, how did you kind of overcome, and are you still working to overcome such a traumatic experience?
Yeah, I think with that, it kind of goes back a little bit because so my freshman year, I guess I just kind of tell you bits and pieces of the freshman year so you can kind of piece it together. But basically my freshman year at FAMU, I became friends with this group of girls that were from Florida. When you go to FAMU, there are not a lot of people from the DMV. So when I went to Florida A&M, there was people from the DMV that went there, and that came in with me, but they weren't really doing what I wanted to do. They weren't going to class. They weren't kind. Like they just weren't people that I wanted to be around. And I feel like when you're in college, it's real easy to cling to people that are from your area. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But the people that were kind of on my same wavelength, they were older than me. So they had been at FAMU for a little while and they were older than me, but I still needed a group of people to experience that college experience, that freshman experience with me. Of course, you can go to those older people for rides to Walmart, advice, what's the easy elective I can take, spending the night if you don't want to sleep in your dorm. A lot of them had apartments and townhouses. You go hang out with them, sleepovers, whatever, but you still got to face your everyday freshman experience. You can have all these outlets for help and stuff, but your everyday freshman experience is this dorm, is these classes, is these bio 100s, these, algebra 1. It's not their experience. Yes, they help ease the experience, but it's not their experience. They've been there, done that. So anyway, so since I didn't really mess with the DMV people that came in with me, there were these other girls that I met that were from Florida, and we all had a group chat together. Prior to coming to school, people do the hashtags FAMU22 and CAT22, getting little group chats, little group meets, little iMessages, whatever. There was two girls that were in the group chat that I particularly got close with just by talking to them. We would group FaceTime together, blah, blah, blah. We get on campus and they had already signed up to be roommates together. They just took a chance on each other, decided to be roommates. And I was assigned a random. She was fine. We just didn't know each other prior, but she was random. I didn't know her. So I mostly hung out with other two girls. And it was just one of those things where time and time again, they showed me that they just weren't true friends and they were mostly just looking out for each other. And I felt like it was hard for me to detach myself from them because I was so far away from home, over 800 miles from home, don't have any friends. So it's like you let the red flags, they're not red, they look kind of pink. And then it's, you don't want to believe they are who they are, but they keep showing you whatever. So yeah, they kept showing me, they'd go to Walmart without me. We used to get our nails done every 3 weeks, started booking appointments for just the two of them, not including me. Just stuff that just showed you over time that we were not friends. So actually, the night of the assault, basically, we went to this guy's house that was friends from high school. One of the girls so it's two girls. One of the girls, we'll call them girl A and girl B. The B girl, the B girl knew the guy because they went to high school together. And he was part owner of this house, and people used to pay him money to rent out his house for parties, etc., because his house was the perfect location. If you were a freshman, you could walk there from your dorm. If you were an upperclassman, there was places to park. If you drove from your apartment, like, it was just the perfect central location. And he was part owner of the house, so people would go through him and pay him to let them have their party there. So we get there or whatever, and everything is cool or whatever. Also, mind you, he had been trying to talk to me for a while, like just swiping up on my Instagram story, saying little things to me around campus. But I never really entertained it. Just more so like, okay, like, hey, hi, like, whatever. Mm-hmm. So we get there and we're talking, whatever. And he's like, oh, like, because, back then I was in the shoes and clothes, and I've always been like that since I was probably like 7 or 8. So he, was like, oh, like, I want to show you my shoes, blah, blah, blah. So he's showing me his shoes, etc. And like, at this point we had been drinking a lot, but I noticed that, well, girl A doesn't drink. She doesn't drink or smoke or anything like that. Girl B does both. So I noticed at one point she had stopped drinking, but like she was still giving me stuff or whatever. And I'm definitely not saying at all that boy and girl B were setting me up. I don't think they were in cahoots together, but I did notice that she was getting pleasure and kind of making a mockery out of me being lit, basically. So yeah, but I definitely would not say at all they were in cahoots, just in case, they be acting like they don't fuck with me, but most likely they'll see this. So definitely not saying that they in cahoots.
Watching.
I hope you are watching. Yeah, because girl A, you are doing well, so kudos to you, but girl B, you're exactly where you belong. But anyway, so girl B, yeah, so she's basically, I could tell, like, I'm a little lit, so I'm not really like making the most out of it, whatever. I'm noticing that she's making a mockery out of me being lit, whatever. One thing leads to another. He's like, oh, let me show you my shoes. He's showing me blah, blah, blah. And then that's when the assault happens. I walk out the room. Once I like get myself together, I walk out the room. And also a part of it was I had on a jumpsuit, and during the assault, the zipper on the jumpsuit broke. So I had to leave out with like the whole thing just like hanging out, which was not a pleasant experience. So I call them And I'm like, where'd you guys go? They're like, oh, we're back in our dorm. We're back already. We left. We're back already. And I'm like, so now I have to walk all the way home, zipper broken from jumpsuit, the thing that just happened, etc. But yeah, I would just say, like, we get to your other point about how did I come over? I think well, for one, I think it took me a while to call it what it actually was. Like, I didn't want to say like, oh, like, because the first part of it, I was kind of blaming myself, because I'm like, okay, these girls have shown you that they're not your friends. You've never really, I mean, you've had a couple of drinks before, but you've never been drunk before. Why would you choose that setting to get drunk? Why did you go there with them? Why did you go into that room? You knew he didn't want to show you sneakers. Like, just kind of blaming myself a little bit. So I think it definitely took me, I would say, like, at least a month to even like put a title on it and call it what it really was. I think, a lot of me didn't really want to admit that it was what it was. So yeah, once I think that was the first part of it, was, okay, this is what happened. It is rape, and not that it's okay, but you need to be okay with calling it what it is. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think at that point, that was the first part of it, was just realizing what it was. And then I definitely think that it kind of took a toll on my next relationship, just because a couple of months later I met someone on campus from Atlanta, and we were basically in a relationship without the title, essentially, but we were definitely exclusive. And I definitely felt like, because I had been used in that way for sex, I definitely felt lesser of myself in the relationship. Like, I found myself, like, let's say I got an A in class, and I let him know, like, oh, like, I got this A, blah, blah, blah. If he wasn't excited for me, then I wasn't excited for myself, or I felt like, oh no, me getting this A isn't good enough. I need to get 2 A's. Like, so kind of like always going to him with all my accomplishments. Like, and I felt less than when he did not think that they were up to par, or whatever that might look like. So when I wasn't getting the attention from him that I wanted for my accomplishments, then I'm like, okay, so then in my mind, I'm like, because I'm used to being smart, I'm used to being on top of my stuff, and now this person is not fazed by that. I didn't know how to exist fully in that relationship at that point. And then it was like, okay, well, am I viewed as only sex? Like, is that why the assault happened? Because I'm viewed as someone that's just valuable for sex. So then I'm like, okay, well, because at that point, me and him weren't having sex yet. So I'm like, do I need to start doing that so that I feel like I'm here with him? So it definitely was a lot of things that I went through. But then I think ultimately, by me not finishing spring semester at FAMU, I went home and I finished online. And I think being at home gave me a lot of the clarity that I needed. It allowed me to apply for other schools. It allowed me to be around people that I know won't leave me for dead. Like, it just reminded me that, there's life outside of this school. But definitely, even when you're at A&T, you feel like that's all that exists. Like, it's just A&T, there's no life outside of there. So I think coming back home, being able to be around people that, have my best interest, being around a place where I have options, I can think freely, I can find another school, I can make time to apply to these schools, and stuff like that. I definitely think that was helpful.
Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad you came here. Really. Yes. So glad.
This podcast.
But first of all, thank you for sharing all that. Thank you for being transparent and vulnerable to share all that. And also, I kind of want to touch base on the entitlement that men have to women's bodies. So have you been seeing all the stuff about the Freaknik documentary about to air?
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, we know Freaknik is going to be, known as something that's fun, but it eventually had a very dark side to it, with a lot of women experience sexual assault and stuff like that. And a recent clip aired about the men talking about, hey, well, if you wear this, you automatically ask for it. If you wear this, you're automatically asking for it. or like if you're just out there showing your body with some type of skin in a certain way. But even you mentioned like you're only wearing a jumpsuit. I A jumpsuit is a jumpsuit. It doesn't matter like what you're wearing.
Right.
Like the entitlement that men have to women's bodies is something that is disgusting and vile and just needs to be addressed. So if you were to have like a son somewhere in the future, how would you kind of like explain that to him? Like, or what message do you have like to men about, you don't own me, or you don't own what I have? Like, if that makes sense. Sorry if I'm not asking that
Yeah,
question.
I mean, I think there's a lot of layers to this. I think one,
And I won't even say a son too, because I hate when people use that, be like, okay, what if your daughter or what if your niece? But I'm just saying, like any general person,
in
like,
general, yeah, I think that a lot of times people don't realize you don't have to convince somebody to have sex with you.
yeah.
You don't have to convince them. And I would even go to show, like, and I know this might sound extreme, but I believe this. When I meet a man,
Mhm.
I know within the first couple of minutes of us talking and interacting if I would ever have sex with them. I know already. There's nothing that you can say. There's no amount of flowers. There's no amount of Dior that you can buy that would shift my mind from that. I literally know within the first couple of conversations with a man if I'm going to have sex with them. So I feel like a lot of times men feel like, yes, you have to court the woman. Yes, you have to be nice to the woman, but it shouldn't be you're courting them and being nice to them to have sex. You're courting them and you're being nice to them because you enjoy their energy and you want their energy and you want their companionship around you, not because you want to have sex. Now, of course, if you create where you are, being nice to the woman and treating her how she needs to feel, etc., she will naturally want to have sex with you, be in your company, etc. You don't have to convince a woman to have sex with you. And I think a lot of times that's what people forget. And I think a lot of times men feel like when they have money or when they have X amount of followers or when they hang around a certain circle, that women are just obligated to treat them that way, or they're just so confused when women do not want them. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to strip those accolades, strip that money away, and still be a decent person with good character.
Kind of going back into journalism. And you talked about how going back home allowed you to kind of like reset and rethink things and really get yourself together and do what you need to do for your own, like personal and mental health. And then you decide to come to the illustrious agricultural and technical state university where you
Yeah.
can accomplish so many great things, which I know you would have been able to accomplish whether you went to A&T, Prairie View, wherever. But very happy that I got to meet you here. But from all the accomplishments that you've been able to make, from the A&T Register, from becoming an ANSCAPE Rodin Fellow, Rising Star Media. I saw that you were most recently at the Final Four, which I want to talk about a little bit later. But to accomplish, first of all, were all these things on your checklist? I'm gonna start there. Were all these things on your checklist of things you wanted to accomplish, or was it just like, wow, one thing after another, and I'm just like, I'm killing it?
So going into school,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, there was only two things on my list. Going into A&T, there were two things on my list. It was AKA, and it was another big publication that I wanted to get a job at after school. Now the AKA thing came true, but I still haven't figured out how I'm going to get my foot in the door with the other publication that was on my list. But those were the two things that were on my list. And it's funny because when I got to A&T, I knew that I liked communications and public relations, but I didn't know what I wanted to do still. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So naturally, because A&T, their career fair needs to step it up, love A&T, but their career fair needs to step it up for the multimedia journalism people and just creative social arts, that whole realm. They need to better serve that group. And that's a whole nother conversation. Definitely still, if you're thinking about going to A&T, still go. But they need to step it up in that department. So I go to the career fair and there's no journalism there. So here I am thinking that, and then, at A&T, everybody gets jobs at Microsoft, IBM, engineering companies,
Yeah.
all these things. So I'm at the career fair thinking that I want to work for IBM Communications. If I was working at IBM Communications right now, I'd kill myself. Like, I literally would not want to do that. So it's just so crazy. One, it goes to show you how it's been so important for these schools to try to, I mean, of course you can't represent every single interest, but try to really get the students to explore their interests and show up and represent for all these vast, diverse interests, because diversity isn't just Black people, white people, HBCU, or mostly Black. Diversity goes to feeding everybody's interest. And because I wasn't getting introduced to teams or to ESPN or sports or whatever the case may be, here I was thinking that I wanted to work for IBM Communications because that's what I saw. I saw people getting jobs at IBM. I saw IBM at the career fair. So that made me think I wanted to work at IBM. So to be honest, when I got to A&T, I had that one publication on there and I had AKA on there, but that was about it as far as my list.
Now that you were able to accomplish all the things that you were able to accomplish, how did it feel getting like each one of those opportunities? And then, just seeing your progression from when you came into A&T, thinking about IBM Communications and saying, fuck that, I'm gonna just do my own thing and kill everything that I do, and then being where you're at now. Like, how does it feel to kind of like be on this journey that you've been on?
Yeah, I would say that it really just showed me how timing, patience, and just staying the course is just so important, because those three themes show up in my life in so many different ways. Like, for instance, the A&T Register. When I first got to the A&T Register, love you, Gerard, love you, Jerry, but y'all was not trying to let me write sports. Y'all wasn't. And that's okay. Y'all wasn't. I remember the first thing I wrote, and not saying that they weren't supportive, they just were, let's just say they were a little concerned. So I came up to the thing, to the meet, I don't know what the hell you call it, pitch meeting, contributors, whatever. Anyway, well, I'm gonna take a sidetrack for a moment. Melvin, he's editor-in-chief at the A&T Register. He's doing amazing. You're doing amazing, sweetie. I'm not sure if you're tuned in, but if you are, Melvin, you're doing amazing, sweetie. Anyway, back to Gerard and Mr. Jerry Humphrey. They wasn't trying to let me write sports. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm finna show y'all. So it took me a while to finally get something published. And then once I got that thing published, I wrote something every week. And a lot of people, they'll think like, oh, it's just a small school newspaper, just a small newspaper. I'm like, no, this is, and I feel like too, I know I'm going all over the place too, but I feel like by appreciating the A&T Register for what it is, I think it made me realize how important it is for you to be present where your feet are. I feel like a lot of times we are looking for the next best job. Who can I network with? Who can I meet? Where can I work? What trip can I go on? And I feel like over the years, I've really had to realize how important it is to be present where your feet are, because I feel like there's so many days where I miss, like, imagine especially as a young journalist that doesn't really know much, imagine walking into a newsroom with all these Black kids, all these Black students that are so smart, they could go off and write wherever they want in the current state that they're in. I can't do that right now. I walk into Arizona State's newsroom, it's all white. So I miss the A&T Register, but I would never in 1,000 years think that I would miss the A&T Register until I'm at this school now. I'm not saying I don't love Arizona State and what it's done for me, but I get to this school now and I can't do that. And I think, but when I was at the A&T Register, I couldn't wait to freelance at a publication, go work somewhere else, do this, and this. So I definitely think that it's important to be present where your feet are. Because even back to what I was saying about how timing, patience, and just seeing it through just keeps coming back. Because with the A&T Register, by writing an article every single week, that ended up, me getting a Roden Fellowship. And, and I found out about the Roden Fellowship, through you doing it. And, I always knew that was something that I wanted to do. And without those clips at A&T, I would have never been able to do it. So, just writing it every week. Of course, I felt like nobody was reading them, nobody was looking at them, but people were. And, so I feel like that was one thing. And then with the Roden Fellowship, I got denied twice before I finally got it my senior year. So you see the progression with A&T. Had A&T register, had to keep writing. Finally got noticed by ESPN. Then when I get to ESPN, got denied 3 times for the fellowship. And then when I got into Sports Journalism Institute, the year that I got into Sports Journalism Institute, the year before that, I had got denied. So, and then when I was for Sports Journalism Institute, I had to go to Memphis to work at USA Today's Commercial Appeal, and it was extremely hard for me to find somewhere to live, and I was going to quit. I wasn't going to do it. But then some random family friend, cousin that I forgot about, lives in Lakeland, Tennessee, which isn't in Memphis, but it's 30 minutes, which was good enough. My mom got me a rental and we worked it out. But that didn't come until the last waking hour, until 2 weeks before I was supposed to go. So I definitely think timing, being patient, staying the course, and being present where your feet are definitely go a long way.
First of all, this is so inspiring. I can cry. This is so inspiring.
My goodness.
If y'all don't see, like, by this point, while I'm a fan of Alexis Davis, I just don't really know if y'all got ears or 2 eyes that are working good for y'all. Because it's just, how can you not be inspired? My last thing I want to touch on, now that you're a member of Rising Star in Mixed Media, you most recently were awarded with the opportunity to participate and cover the Women's Final Four. What was the atmosphere like?
Yeah, so I would say there's a couple of things that kind of digest. I think one thing, before I went to the Final Four, this semester of grad school has been really trying and really testing. And it's made me, there was a couple of times where I second guessed, do I want to do broadcast? Do I want to be on air? Do I want to do these things, these packages and news packages for local news? This stuff is so hard. This technology with the cameras and stuff like that. So I was really like, do I even want to do this? I don't want to do journalism. Maybe I just want to go work for a team and do PR. Like, maybe I don't want to be on camera. This is just so hard. And I feel like the divine timing of the Final Four made me realize, like, no, if you stay the course, and the people that can withstand being uncomfortable the longest, they are the ones that end up doing things, then, that's all you need to do. Because I feel like when I got to the Final Four and just seeing the girls from SEC Network doing their live cast right next to me, I'm filming my little stand-up with our Canon camera that we take, and they're live on the SEC Network right next to me. And then I look out my right, this way they brought the studio set to the arena. There's Elle Duncan, Monica McNutt, Andrea Carter, Carolyn Peck, all right there. So it's like I have SEC Network right here filming. I had ESPN right there, they're filming, and then here I am in the middle doing my stand-ups. And it's just like, you just have to take it in. It's just like, do you see where you are at? Do you see who's on your left and right? It's like these studio people on your right, SEC Networks on your left, and Angel Reese is in front of you. It's like you are at the right time, at the right place, with the right people doing the right thing. It doesn't get any more, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I definitely think that was what I needed when I needed it, because definitely being in grad school has been trying, and there's no Black people here, except for, shout out my girl Janae Bradford. There's no Black people here. Crystal Stone too, love you, girl. Anyway, they're not here, so it's just like it's a struggle for real. And I feel like with the grad school hustle and bustle, it made me think for a little bit, maybe I don't want to do this. And going to the Final Four made me realize, yes, I want to do this. But yeah, it was a great experience. And I think too, when you go to these big sporting events, Final Four, giraffes, Super Bowls, whatever, for the young journalists, it's such a good experience, because yes, you have all these athletes that you've been watching on TV for years and that people are talking about, that are making the main headlines. You get to be with them every day. But then you also get to be around the journalists that you see on TV every day. You're around the journalists that work for The Athletic, the Washington Post, the people that you read all the time. So it's kind of like 2-part stardom. You get to experience these athletes, but you also get to experience all these journalists and stuff that you want to be like eventually. So I definitely think going there as a young journalist was definitely a young experience. And I think I was proud of myself too, because I feel like, even though Angel Reese is probably the biggest star right now, when I was interviewing her, I didn't feel like that. I'm from Maryland. She's from Maryland. I broke the ice by letting her know I was from Maryland. We had a hey girl, hey moment, and we just talked. And I just was thinking to myself, like, if I can just sit and talk and chill, just have a normal conversation with the person that everybody's talking about right now, I can do this. And I think I needed that in that moment, because I was for sure about to throw in the freaking towel before the Final Four, for sure. So yeah, I think, I mean, it's just a great experience. And I think, you just have to just take some time to just really soak it in. I think with the hustle and bustle of the games, and you try and put together a stand up before the game is over, you kind of, it's like on this hamster wheel of journalism, and you have to remember to get off sometimes, and just remember where you're at. And I would even just say, I think sometimes, now that I've grown to be close with LaChina Robinson, sometimes I forget who she is. So we're at this panel that she has, and the seats are filled. There's no empty seats. People are standing up behind. There's people standing on the side, all there. I mean, yes, there was other people on the panel that were equally important, but all there to see LaChina. After the panel's over, people are asking for autographs. People are asking for pictures and all types of stuff. And I'm like, I can just call her. But to these people, and to me too, she's this monumental figure. And I think too, you just have to remind yourself of how blessed you are to be in these situations, that you can, get to know people and stuff like that. And I think the Final Four also allowed me to appreciate her, because I think since we've gotten so close, I forgot how big of a figure she is until then. And even last night, I'm watching the WNBA draft, and she is at the ESPN table throughout the whole draft. She's doing the voiceover for all the highlight cuts that they have for the draft people. I'm like, wow, I really know you. And I think I needed the draft and the Final Four to remind myself of how blessed I am to have that contact.
With the whole Angel Reese situation, of course, we already know with the whole thing she did with the whole Caitlin Clark, and the people call it taunting, whatever case. I'm proud of the girl. I love what she did. I don't want to talk about all that. I want to talk about, kind of ask why do you feel like it's important to touch on topics that, and not shy away from topics that involve racism and sexism when it comes to sports? Because I feel like that's really the root of everything negative that everybody had to say about that whole situation. So why do you feel like it's important to cover those topics when it comes to sports?
I think one part of it is, this is why it's so important to have diversity in these newsrooms, because you need that Black woman to speak up in that newsroom when your newsroom is about to put out some horrible criticism of Angel Reese. You need that Black woman in that newsroom to say, hold up, she's not from the hood. Yes, she's from Baltimore, but where she lives at is actually very nice. And she's actually not from the hood of Baltimore. Not just like how there's places in Greensboro that are not that great, but then you go to High Point and there's $1 million houses. I'm just saying, like, everywhere has the slums, so even LA has Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, but then they also have the areas where you do not go, and you're not taking your Instagram picture over here, and that's fine. And I feel like a lot of people say she's from Baltimore, but they don't realize that there's nice parts of Baltimore. She went to a prep school in Baltimore. She's not from the hood, and she's not ghetto. Like, anyway, so I think, and I feel like I really was able to have a conversation with Mr. Roden before this whole Angel Reese thing, but he does a lot of deep dives with the intersection of race, culture, and sport. And a lot of times people like to remove the race element. Oh, Black people just want to make it a racial debate. There's no racial divide, etc. These Black athletes are competing in these sports that are covered by majority white people. Mm-hmm. And they're playing them in a country that only values what they can do on the court. That's why what me and you do is so important, the storytelling element, because it shows you, hey, these are actual people. So I think you can't remove it, and I don't understand why people try so hard to remove the racial factor, from it. And I just feel like, race is a problem in sports, and it's not okay, but when you don't acknowledge it as a problem, you're adding to the problem. And I also think too, a lot of times Black women are not even just Black people, but now narrowing it down to Black women that look like you and me. We are not allowed to say that we are good at things. And what I mean is, for example, you have Taylor Rooks. A couple of years ago, she came out and she said that she used to not want to say that she's good at doing interviews. She's good at doing feature pieces. She used to not say that she's good. She just used to say that she pays attention to her craft, etc. But now she feels more comfortable affirming that she is good at interviews, and she feels good with giving other people advice on how to do interviews, like me and you, etc. So the fact that a Black woman is not allowed to say she is good at something, we're supposed to be soft, modest, can't be too hard, etc. I feel like that's not okay. And I feel like that kind of transcends to Angel. Angel knows she's good. She knows she's probably one of the top five women's basketball players right now. And I feel like she's affirming that. And I feel like because people are not used to Black women saying that they are good at something, they're used to them hiding behind a computer screen, hiding behind their boss. Like, they have a really intelligent thing to say, but they tell their boss, and then their boss translates it to the higher ups. They never, just like how Black women, they don't feel comfortable presenting in a room of people that don't look like them. It all is at all levels. And I feel like beginning with it could have started with someone else, but Taylor Rooks was the first person that I saw that was okay with saying, hey, I am good at interviewing people. This is why I have my own show on Bleacher Report. This is why I have my own show on TNT. This is why Amazon Prime started football, and the first person they called to do sideline was me, because I am good and I am Taylor. So I feel like seeing that was really big for me. And then also, even on the Olympic stage, you have Alex and Felix, you have Simone Biles, you have Gabby Douglas that have all these gold medals. You have never once heard them say, I'm the best of all time, I'm the greatest to do this, I'm so good, because the culture of American sports does not allow Black women to say that they are good. But LeBron James can say he's the king of basketball. LeBron James can make a whole logo with a lion and a crown saying that he's the best at basketball. But if, I guess his equivalent would be Diana Taurasi. If Diana Taurasi came out with a crown logo, a white mamba crown logo that says she's the best woman to ever play basketball, people would tell her she needs to calm down. So I think that is one part of American sport that people don't like to accept.
Thank you so much, Alexis, for coming on my podcast. I love you so much, so very much. And before we go, I just want to take time to give Alexis her flowers.
Oh my goodness.
Truly, I know y'all really getting on me saying all this stuff about being a fan, but no, I truly am, because this is somebody who's not only a friend to me, but actually puts time and effort into her craft. And I just love throughout not only our friendship, but just seeing her grow like on a professional element, all the things that she's been able to accomplish, and really the resilience you show, the confidence you show, everything, who you are through and through, I love. And I'm so proud to just know you, truly. Team Alexis over here. Team Alexis.
No, I would just say too, I feel like, even though we are the same age, you had your establishment at A&T way before I did. So seeing you get the Rhoden Fellowship made me want the Rhoden Fellowship, and seeing you, doing your interviews and starting your own thing and just doing what you do made me realize what was possible as well. And, just having someone like you with me while we were navigating through college, and it's like, oh, just like, even like, for instance, when I was at the Dallas Wings WNBA party, I saw Ivy. So I was able, because I saw Ivy, someone that you introduced me to, I felt comfortable enough to go through the crowd, go up to her and say hi. And I feel like we truly believe with each other that my network is your network is my network, and we never try to gatekeep from each other. And I feel like just having somebody, well, of course, we're friends beyond college, but just having somebody, even though we didn't come into each other's lives until the latter end of college, I feel like just having each other to navigate, those things was definitely something that helped us see the other side. So yeah. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Now I got y'all hosts up here crying on her own show. I need a raise. Shit.
No, friend, thank you, friend. I appreciate you. And thank you guys for tuning in. More episodes to come. And
yeah, period.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of On Screen with Issa Lorraine. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned for more. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts, and of course right here on YouTube at the On Screen Pod. I love y'all, and stay tuned.